Hey, real quick, added 5 good players today. I'll go through these guys real quick, starting with Larry Borum from Missouri. Just a versatile, big, powerful guy. Really transformed his body this spring when you look at it. Moves really well on tape for his size. And, he lost a lot of weight through the spring process and at his pro day. We thought he moved around really well. That gives us confidence, really, that his best football is ahead of him. He can play tackle. He can play guard. So there's some versatility with him. Next, with Khalil Herbert from running back from Virginia Tech, explosive, fast, versatile. Also provides a lot of value on special teams. That was kind of a theme for us in that area of the draft. A good kick returner. Daz Newsome, receiver, punt returner from North Carolina. Extremely productive slot receiver. Also a good punt returner. We spent a lot of time watching the tape on Diami Brown, and you kept noticing this player too. So, again, we're excited about his ability as a punt returner and just a lot of production in that area, along with him being a good receiver. Thomas Graham, corner nickel from Oregon, just versatile corner. He can play outside. He can play inside. He opted out this year, but really stood out in the Senior Bowl. We really like his competitiveness, his energy, kind of the spark that he has. Really like his ball skills. And last with the Cyrus Tonga, nose tackle, defensive tackle from BYU, just a powerful run stopper, gives us a lot of size inside. We love his makeup. He can push the pocket. He's got a knack for batting passes down at the line of scrimmage. When you looked at our whole front board, he really led all that group in batted passes over the last 3 years. Just a natural fit with our defense with Tonga. And I would just say this, guys, before the question, just really proud of our scouts and coaches. And I want to mention Josh Lucas and Champ Kelly, Mark Sadowski, Jeff King, all of our college scouts, all of our pro scouts. So much goes into this. Our trainers, our doctors, even Sue Campbell, Carla Suber, who helped us a ton with our interviews. Just really proud of our whole group, really how connected we are. It starts with Matt and I sharing the same vision and all of us being connected and then attacking this together. So really excited about this draft class. We're working through free agency as we speak. That's a big part of it. We're excited about where we are on that right now. And just fired up about this whole thing. So with that, I'll pass it to Matt.
Yeah, well, first of all, start off, it's good seeing everybody. It's crazy and amazing how all this time that Ryan and his personnel, how much time and effort they put into getting to this point that we're at right now. And in 3 days, it's over. And, for me, being involved and just kind of seeing everything and being a part of what we discuss and these meetings that we have, there's so much that goes into it. And the appreciation that I have for these guys, I was joking with Ryan the other day. I mean, this guy, he has not taken a day off for like literally 6 months. I mean, it's not every day he's in here early in the morning till late at night, just grinding on film, watching tape, all of his guys communicating with each other. And, we end up getting hopefully seven wonderful players. And the collaboration that he asks for from us, the communication, the unity that we have from the coaches is pretty cool. And so we put it all together and we never know how it's going to go, but this is where we're at. And so I want to thank those guys as well on the personnel side, Ryan, Joey Lane, et cetera, for everything that they do. It's a fun time. And here we are. So we know that now it's always about drafting and developing. And we now have drafted, and now it's our job as coaches to develop. And I think that's what is really neat from my end of it, is to be able to really share the moment with our staff and say, now it's our job to make sure that we develop these players and make our team better.
First question, Pat Finley.
Matt, if I would have told you 3 days ago that you would have wound up with the top 2 picks that you wound up with, what would you have thought? And you mentioned Ryan working hard, but what's your evaluation of his draft?
Yeah, no, well, you never know because there's just so many different ways that these picks could go. I think from my memory of being in this league, I can't remember it being this fascinating of a time, especially in particular that first round, not knowing who's going to take what or do what. And, the Ryan's greatest strength is really being able to go through a bunch of what ifs and play different scenarios out. I always joke with them, it's similar to when you're in a game, you got to try to, the week prior to the game, play out different situations and calls that you're going to make and what are you going to do in this situation or that situation so you're prepared. And so it was hard to predict what was going to happen, but you all saw what we did and, what came from it. And we feel really, really good about it. We're super excited about the players that we got in this entire draft. And now the excitement now turns to just a lot of focus and shift to us as coaches and these guys as players to now make it happen, make it work. And that's where I think the commitment that we all have to one another is, hey, we're in a great spot right now. Let's us as coaches work to their strengths and do everything we can to make this a winning football team.
Dan Wiederer.
Matt, first, can you take us inside that draft room on Thursday night as those 90 minutes are unfolding and obviously other people in that room are making calls and just kind of your emotions and your mood and trying to figure out if you were going to get the guy you wanted? Yeah,
Again, the emotions are just, I wish everybody could kind of experience it at one time in their life because it's different. It's a good different and just not knowing where things are going to go and all these different scenarios that we have and that we plan out, knowing if it's going to come to fruition or not. And literally, as you guys can probably guess, I mean, it's up until, almost the minute sometimes of whether or not something happens. And again, credit to Ryan and to Joey Lane and just watching them work those phones and listen to different opportunities that we could have and different scenarios that play in front of us. And that's where I think for us, we work really well together because we try to communicate. And so the excitement was there. And then, when you're able to get a player like Justin Fields in the first round, obviously we were super pumped and we feel like, we know that when you have a good feeling like that, you can just feel the energy in the room. You can feel the energy from each person. And that's really ultimately what it's all about.
You talk all the time about a touchdown to check down mentality with your quarterbacks. I'm curious your assessment of Justin from the mindset standpoint of that, and also just what you think of the deep ball he throws, because obviously that's a strength of his.
It is a strength of his. And maybe with him, we got to go touchdown to touchdown mentality, get some of that, I think that's where that needs to go. And with all of our quarterbacks. So, but I think you're hitting to the point of what one of his strengths is that you see that he does at Ohio State, and just so much credit. I want to give credit myself too, to Ryan Day, who was just, really great in the communication part with us. With Ryan and I, and then just the relationship that we had going back to our playing days. And I just know that he was really well coached at Ohio State. Ryan and I talked about that. And now it's our job to develop him. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we've taken into this thing is there will be a plan with Justin and with Andy and with Nick and just how we go about this. And I think that's going to be very, very important is that we understand it. Now, fortunately for myself, Ryan and I have had a bunch of discussions and just talking through scenarios. And as everybody has talked about, I went through that in 2017. So is it going to be the same thing? I don't know, but at least we have some type of blueprint to at least work off of and be able to just kind of use that to start and see where it goes.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Matt, I know you talked about how excited you were to go through the scouting process with these quarterbacks. Can you walk us through maybe when Justin first got on your radar and then being at that pro day, some of the things that really stood out to you, just how it got to the point where he became the guy that you kind of coveted?
Well, it's for myself, as I was going through last year, just on a phone conversation, just talking with Coach Day at Ohio State, we were going through a bunch of different players, just talking about different guys that he has. And towards the end of it, we discussed Justin and he brought up, he mentioned that, man, this kid is absolutely, he's a generational talent. And it just stuck with me. generational player. And when you hear that, those are strong words, but you understand the respect I have for him and what that means. And so, you know, Ryan and I told that story to Ryan last year. And so we've been keeping our eye on him, and as all these different positions and players throughout the league. But we get to the point to where we're at here at the end of the season, and Ryan sits down with me and we just talk through where we're at and where we're at moving forward. And we looked at it together like, hey, let's go about this and let's evaluate these quarterbacks as we go through this process. Let's see who we like and you know, how many guys there are, where they're at, what their strengths and weaknesses are. And in the end, you know, just for Ryan and I to just discuss all of this and come up with this decision together that we wanted to do this. That's what's really neat is that. So you guys know, you've seen all the highlights on Justin and his strengths and who he is on the field. But I think what everybody will see as he grows as a player in person is who he is, you know, whether it's in meetings with you guys, with interviews, and then obviously on the grass, what he can do.
Adam Hogue.
Yeah, Matt, Ryan mentioned to us that you talked to Andy on Thursday night. How did that conversation go, and what do you feel like is his mentality right now going in?
Yeah, you know what, Adam, I had two conversations on Thursday. I had one earlier in the day that just catching up with him, seeing how he's doing, but also just explaining to him that, you know, there's so many different things that could happen. And, you know, I think that's very important to discuss. Hey, we don't know even at that time what could go on. And that was great catching up with them. And then when we went ahead and moved up and got Justin later on that evening, I thought it's very important to talk to Andy and just explain where we're at. Every one of you on the call, including myself, would probably want the same phone call to know what's going on, why it's going on, where things are at. And Andy is a hell of a person. And we've built a great relationship already in the short time that we've been together. And I just got too much respect for him. And that's just how we do things around here. And I think that I'm really looking forward to seeing him be the best quarterback he can be. And he handled it as a true pro. And he's a complete teammate. He's a great person. And he's always been that way. So that's just kind of where we're at. And I appreciate that from him.
Larry Mayer.
Matt, I just wanted to ask you about Justin Fields as well. What attributes about him as a player excite you the most? And I know you also touched on this in terms of when you found out you were able to get him, but when it was possible and you realized that it was reality, just you personally, what was your reaction? What were you thinking? Yeah,
there's a lot of different emotions that go through you. And again, for Justin, who is he as a player? Well, you know, we can all see that he's a complete quarterback that has in a ton of intangibles. He's a threat every time the football is in his hands as a passer and a runner, but yet he makes really good decisions. He's played in big time moments. He's one of the, you know, toughest quarterbacks. And I've been around a lot of tough quarterbacks, but he's definitely up there in regards to his experience at the college level. And I think he hangs his hat on that. And as we all grow with him, I think we're going to sense that he really has a little bit of that it factor to him too, which is neat, you know, and so that has to come naturally to everybody, and some have it, some don't. And I think that for him, it's going to be exciting for him to just come in here and learn how to be a professional quarterback. It's not going to happen overnight. He's going to be able to learn from great coaches and from great players that are going to be in the same room from him. And he knows that. And I think that's the part of Justin, is that he's super mature. He's very focused, but he's competitive as hell. And sometimes that pushes people. And I think it certainly pushes him, but he does it in a respectful way. And he's had a lot of success doing it.
Brad Biggs.
Hey guys, I was wondering if you each could possibly talk about what the challenges you believe are going to face the defense this coming season?
The challenges that our defense.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't able to get a ton through the draft. Everyone knows why you did what you did. You know, with the group that Sean's got, as you look at it right now, what challenges does that unit face?
Well, I think before Ryan goes, I would just say, first of all, I think sometimes just the way it goes in the draft, there's obviously certain ways or maybe things that Ryan looks for as we discuss things. He wants to attack and go, and then it goes certain ways, you know. And there's things that are in your control and not in your control. But I know this, in regards to our roster and what we have defensively, we do feel really, really good about the players that we have really on this entire roster, not just on defense. And so Sean has done a phenomenal job here in the offseason of getting with the coaches and those guys talking schematically with our personnel and our players. Now we have a really good idea who our players are as coaches with going through free agency and the draft. And it's our job now to put the scheme together and let these guys go play fast.
Yeah, Brad, I would add to that just the talent that we have on defense and the moves we've made there over the years. And you talked about, Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson and Hicks and Roquan and Trevathan, and you can go on and on. And then I think, some of the moves we made in free agency this year, Brad, helped us a lot leading into this draft with Trufant, Angelo Blackson, Atachu, Christian Jones re-signing Gibson was big for us. So I felt like we attacked a lot of that in free agency, and it really truly opened up the draft for best player. And as you know, Brad, you just kind of go the way the board goes sometimes, and it happened to lean a little bit more offense this year.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Matt, question for you about that Chiefs plan that you guys had for Patrick. I imagine that took some level of patience or commitment to patience back then. But I'm curious, like, how much did it actually help you guys in that plan that Alex Smith was there and actually playing well? And then how important is it to maybe stay patient here just in case, Andy has some ups and downs this season?
No, that's a good question, Adam. We were back then, I think in our fourth or fifth year with Alex. I think it was our fifth year. And so it was a little different in that fact. But when I bring up that example or that blueprint that Ryan and I talk about, it's more so probably of just the dynamics of the meeting room and how those conversations went, and how the personalities were of Alex and Patrick at the beginning and how it ended in the end. Just the way that year went, how it was at practice, how different reps were, and there's just so much that goes into it. And so that's a part of the blueprint. And, but again, you look at a guy like Andy Dalton and his experience and the time he's seen, that part is extremely similar to Alex at the same point in their career where Andy's seen every defense made to man. He's watched a lot of tape. He's seen a lot of different schemes that people throw at him. He's been in playoff games. He's done a lot of things the right way. And so how great is that for a young rookie to come on in and learn from a guy like him and Nick Foles and see like there's things that he can take from them and really put into his toolbox and use to make him be the greatest quarterback he can possibly be. And so the timing element of Justin, we will know, and there's observations from all of us as coaches every single day. And just like we would tell any quarterback, when you come in here, you do everything you can to be the best quarterback you can be, whether it's in the meeting room or whether it's in practice, and everything else will take care of itself. And all of those guys are going to do it. And then, we just got to decide then when we get to that point, how is he developing and how is everybody doing, and really keeping it as honest as possible with all of those guys. And then when the time is right, I promise you, every single person will know, including Justin, when it's the right time. And that's naturally how it happens.
How about Nick's role in this, just in terms of, you have a Super Bowl winner there, but I'm curious, what do you see his input being? Like, what do you envision his role with Justin being?
Extremely valuable. Again, you guys know I have a really good relationship with Nick. Nick and I have had some really good conversations, healthy conversations since the end of the season. Nick is his mindset right now. He's in a really, really good place. And all he wants to do is be the best teammate he can be the best player he can be, support all of us. And we want to support him. So I've been there I've seen Nick in a lot of different roles. I've seen how he handles things. And we all know as coaches that we're all going to work for each other. There's no selfishness. We're all here to help the Chicago Bears win a Super Bowl, and we need to do it together. And all three of those quarterbacks in that room, Andy, Nick, and Justin, are all unbelievable people, right? And they all have their own experiences, and they're all different, but they're all going to help each other. And then you take that along with our coaching staff and the coaches that are going to be hands-on with those three guys, with John DeFilippo and Bill Lazor. And it's a really, really great environment for all of those guys. And when you look at a young guy like Justin, I've been with Flip for a long time, and I've watched him develop quarterbacks, and I've seen the way that, what he does it and how he does it. And I have a ton of belief in him as a position coach / passing game coordinator. And I have a ton of belief in Bill Lazor with quarterbacks as well. So that's the exciting part for me. That's where there's a lot of trust in this development part, which is so big. We need to develop not just Justin, but all of these guys that we just drafted, along with every other player that's on this team.
Jason Leisure.
Matt, I have two questions for you about Justin Fields. One, quickly, did you have him in your evaluations? Did you have him above Wilson and Lance?
Well, so a couple things, and I've always been this way. I think you guys know it, even dating back to 2017. But I'm not going to get into any of my rankings or where we're at. But I think that all five of those quarterbacks in that first round are very good quarterbacks.
And well, as far as developing Justin, how do you find the line? I don't think you've ever coached a quarterback with his skill set, unless I'm wrong. Have you?
Well, I would say this. I've coached a lot of different quarterbacks. I started as a young coach in Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb as a quality control coach. I've been with Kevin Cobb. I've been with a rookie in Nick Foles. I've been with Michael Vick. I've been with Alex Smith. I've been with Trent Edwards, from my prior to the Bears, right? Patrick Mahomes, as a rookie. So many different scenarios. They're all different. And that's what makes it so much fun, is for me to say, okay, here we are. Now it's Andy, you got Nick, you got Justin, you got all these guys that are great quarterbacks. And the development part is, how do we put a plan together to get the best of all three of those guys? And so that's, for me, the fun part. And they all have their strengths and weaknesses, as we do as coaches.
So how do you balance refining Justin into what you envision as an ideal quarterback, but also maintaining what has gotten him to this point, what has made him so successful and made you guys fall in love with him this week?
Yeah, that's really good question. And here's how I'd answer that: is part of that process is going to be, for us as coaches, the development part with Justin is making sure that, he's getting, reps, the repetitions. Where is he getting those reps? How is he getting them? Where's the extra work coming in? The film study. And we're not at that part yet as a coaching staff. We're going to sit down, and now we know who we have and where they're at. We can sit down and really put together a schedule and a plan of how this is going to get done. And that's the part where, again, I think Ryan mentioned this to you guys the other night or other day. The example of some of these college quarterbacks that do a lot of no huddle is they're looking over to their coaches and they're getting signals and signs and all this stuff. They're coming in, they're standing there, they give a knee or they clap their hand or they fake clap their hand and the ball snapped. It's a little different when you get to the NFL. And I think he told you the story, but I always remember when Patrick came in rookie camp and he got in the first huddle and he was never in a huddle before, and he started screaming the plays, and the defense could hear it on the other side because he never called a play call in the huddle before. Those are the little things that we all think we can just get up and do that these kids haven't done. Getting a snap from under center and doing different things there. So those small little processes take time. Once we get that, you can play faster and faster. And so going back to your question, Jason, there's going to have to be a really good plan in place to make sure that we can see that development.
We have time for a couple more. Mark Potash.
Hey, Ryan, I want to circle back to Tevin Jenkins. A couple questions. A lot of tackles drafted in his range become starters as rookies. I'm wondering, is that a fair expectation for Tevin? And also, when you said he could play on the left side, what does that mean for Charles Leno? You know, with the cap situation being what it is there some uncertainty about Charles being on the roster come training camp?
Yeah, you know, we see obviously we have high expectations for him. He has starting ability, and really with him and Larry, what we liked about both of them, Mark, is they can play both sides. They can play guard. There's just so much versatility. So we went into this draft, and Matt and I said it. We looked at the entirety of the draft, and we looked at the depth of offensive linemen and said, man, if we don't come away improving our offensive line, then shame on us, and we really thought that we could attack it that way. And it was important for us to do that. So adding Tevin and Larry are big time additions for us. And, Mark, we'll just let it battle out.
But do you see if you see Tevin as a starter this year, could it be on the left side?
It could be anywhere on our offensive line. It could be on either side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colleen Kane.
Hey, Matt, I just wanted to ask you about Tevin Jenkins. What do you like about him as a player and as a person?
Yeah, well, as a player, I love his playing demeanor. I think that we watched a lot of guys on the offensive line, as every other position, but speaking with him directly, I really love the way he run blocks. I thought that really jumped out to us as we were evaluating him. He's stout in pass protection. You love his attitude. I think you guys have got a little bit of a taste of that with what his personality is. I mean, you got to always appreciate a little bit of that with these guys. And but he's also willing to learn. And we have the ability. Ryan did a really good job of just really the background and using all of our sources to talk to different people at Oklahoma State to find out more and more about Tevin. And everything that just kept coming back to us just talked about the toughness of him, his work ethic, who he is as a person, both on and off the field, what he is as a teammate. You love who he is as a teammate. He's going to work hard. He knows that Juan is going to just absolutely grind him with teaching him fundamentals and develop him. And so all you got to do is put on the tape and see how he plays, and you got to love it.
Last one, Hub Arkush.
Ryan, I hate to do this to you tonight. You guys probably feel like you just went 15 rounds with the champ, but clearly there are cap issues. You got to get these kids signed now, and there's still a lot of good veteran free agents out there. So what are your priorities now? What happens now for you over the next few weeks, month? How do you go about finishing off this roster?
Yeah, right now, Hub, we're full speed college free agency right now. I really challenged our scouts on making sure we nail that, and that's going on as we speak. So after that, we'll kind of take a deep breath, and there's some things that Joey and I know that we need to do as we look at our cap and our situation, and we have plans in place for that, and those are kind of the next steps, before we're able to kind of take a deep breath. But and I would just say that you make me think of that, Hub, when you talk about our cap. Is I don't talk about Joey Lane enough and the job that he does for us, and I've been with him for almost 20 years now. And when I go through a draft like this with Joey right by my side, and he's outstanding with these trades, and he spends so much time and effort into it, like he's kind of a under the radar guy for us. That's really big with what we do, really important to our team. So I can't say enough about Joey Lane. So just a quick shout out to him.
Just real quick to follow up, Ryan, if I can. I'm not asking for names, but will you continue to look at street vets as well?
Of course. Yeah. There's guys on our board right now, Hub, that we're still looking at. So to answer your question, yes. And then there's guys still that we have targeted with other teams that could be potential cuts or potential trades that we're watching closely.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Ryan. We're all set.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Justin, congratulations. Welcome to Chicago.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I imagine these last 3 months have been exhausting for you in a lot of ways. I'm sure you probably haven't been through a process that has been so micro-analyzed in terms of picking apart your skill set, your strengths, your weaknesses. I'm curious, what of the criticisms over the last 3 months sort of impacted you the most, and how you kind of dealt with that over the last 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of criticism, but me, at the end of the day, I feel like I know, myself. I know how much work I put in the game. I know how much I love the game. I know how much I want to be great. So it just comes a point in time where you just have to cut, all that criticism out. And of course, it's good to listen to the criticism you get from, people that are, actually there to help you. So if it was from a coach or anything like that, of course, I'm going to take that criticism. But I feel like, of course, there's a lot of, criticism coming from outside voices that didn't really matter. So I just, did my best to kind of cut all that out and really just get to work. So
what was tonight like for you, just sitting through those first 10 picks before you got the call at 11?
I'm the kind of guy that thinks that everything happens for a reason. So I think, this is God's plan for me to be a Bear. So I'm more than excited, and I'm, more than ready to get up there for sure.
Pat Finley, Chicago Sun-Times.
Hey, Justin, how did you find out that you were going to the Bears? What was that phone conversation like? And during the pre-draft process, did you have any hints that this might have been the outcome?
Yeah, so basically, Coach Nagy called me up and just asked me if I was ready to be a Chicago Bear, and I told him, of course. I mean, so of course the phone call went well. Coach Nagy's a great coach. He's a great person. I got to build a sort of a relationship with him these past couple of months. But just talking with him a little bit, getting to know him, and then of course going back to hints. I don't think I had any hints. I had no idea, to be honest with you. So I was confident in myself. I guess to wherever I ended up, I was gonna be in the right place for me. So again, I'm excited.
Adam Hogue, NBC Chicago.
Justin, what can you tell us about, you mentioned building that relationship with Coach Nagy. What was it, over Zoom calls? At your pro day, what kind of interactions? Can you be a little bit more specific about all that?
Yeah, I would say most of it was during Zoom calls. Of course, we did, have a little bit of conversation at my pro day, but most of it, through Zoom calls, and it's just, of course, just talking and, getting to know him, not only as a coach, but as a person. So I'm pretty big on, having great relationships with my coaches. I think, that's the most effective way to, be great and kind of be, cooperative as a team. So just mainly through Zoom and a little bit at my pro day.
Larry Mayer, ChicagoBears.com.
Hey, Justin, what type of player and person would you say the Bears are getting in yourself, and what do you think is your number one strength?
I mean, I think the kind of player the Bears are getting is a versatile player that can, make plays both with my arm and also with my legs, and of course a smart player, a player that's going to make smart decisions, and a player that, that wants to win, that's willing to do whatever, to win. So that's of course my number one job, however that may be, whether, whatever my position may be on the team. But my number one strength, or was that the next question?
Yes.
My number one strength, I would just say my overall, not even my overall, but just, showing up in big moments. I feel like when big moments present themselves, I feel like, there's just another thing that kicks inside of me. But just I think capitalizing in big moments, and of course, playing well on big stages, I think that's definitely one of my strengths for sure.
Kevin Fishbane, The Athletic.
Hey, Justin, going back to Matt Nagy, based on your conversation with him and getting to know him, how do you think you fit with what he wants out of a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think I fit, perfectly. I think if he didn't think I fit well, he wouldn't have traded up. But I think, just talking to him, getting to know, I guess, how he communicates with his quarterbacks and his learning style. I think that, that's going to make me a better quarterback, a better player. And, he's going to teach me a lot. So I'm just, again, excited to get up there and learn.
Chris Emma, 670.
Justin, this is a franchise that struggles trying to find a franchise quarterback. What do you believe makes you the kind of guy who can be that quarterback for the Bears and for Chicago?
Just the way I carry myself, just the way I, care about the game, the grit I have, the determination I have to be great. I think, nobody kind of has a story that I have. So just everything inside of me, just wanting to be a great quarterback, wanting to be a franchise quarterback. And of course, me dreaming for this moment my whole life. So I think, all those intangibles, my work ethic, and all of that together will, of course, be different for me.
Leisure, Chicago Sun-Times.
Justin, how much do you think the college experience will translate for you, given that you played at a big program and played against a lot of big programs like Alabama and Clemson? You've been on that stage.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think, it'll translate well, especially with the fan base. I know that, Bears fans are very passionate about the football, and, of course, so is Ohio State. So it's really kind of going, I guess, kind of in the same, aspect of things in terms of, seriousness and in terms of, a passionate fan base. So I think it'll definitely translate well, though, for sure.
We have time for two more here with Justin. Matt Zahn, CBS.
Justin, I know you said everything happens for a reason, but I assume you think you belonged among those top 3 quarterbacks. Does that put a chip on your shoulder as you come in to try to prove those guys wrong that didn't pick you up earlier?
No, not really. I mean, I've gone through situations where I haven't been chosen, and I think the world has seen the outcome of that. But my goal is not to worry about those teams. I mean, those teams have nothing to do with me. My goal is to, if we play that team, to beat them. So I'm not worried about the draft. The draft is over for me. For me personally, I'm ready to get to work.
Last one, Bill from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Justin. Congratulations. How hard was it just waiting? Everyone thought you were going to be a top 10 pick, and to not be a top 10 pick. Mm-hmm. How much did that bother you? What was your family like during that? How much did they kind of?
Yeah. I mean, just like I said, I felt like, my family was, more nervous than me, but I've been in so many, different situations in my life where, I think I want something. I think I, want to do this, but, God has a different plan for me. So just like I said before, I put, my full trust in God, and, he's put me in a perfect place for me, and, whatever his will is what's going to happen. So, again, I'm excited to be a part of this organization, and, just ready to get to work.
Thanks, and congratulations.
We're all set for now. Thank you, Justin, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for waiting. I know it's been a late night. I appreciate you guys waiting. Obviously, a lot of excitement through our building tonight. We feel really fortunate to be able to get Justin, in the area of the draft. We were able to select him. The excitement throughout our whole building, you can feel it as I walk down here tonight. What he's going to do for the future of our organization. There's so much, guys, that goes into this process, as you well know, but starting with Matt and our scouts and our coaches as we build into this moment and into tonight. But I think, when we select a quarterback, the situation that quarterback is coming into is critical. And I think we provide a great situation, as I kind of alluded to a couple of days ago, for that quarterback's development to happen. Matt has spoken to Andy Dalton tonight. That communication and clarity for us is really important. Andy is our starter, and we're going to have a really good plan in place to develop Justin and do what's best for our organization to win games. So with that, I'm sure you guys got a lot of questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Ryan, can you take us through kind of what you and the other people in the draft room were thinking as you saw that, hey, there's still 2 quarterbacks left as you're getting to the 10th and 11th pick? And how do you know when is the right time to go and make that move?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of patience, Jeff, that comes with that. To be honest, that can be difficult. And, over the last couple of days, once the board's set, the remaining days have really been going through all these different scenarios that could happen. And as you can imagine, there's so many different variables and so many different situations. And we talk out every single one of them, right? And so we had, multiple plans tonight. And the way the board was falling, we got excited when the quarterbacks kind of came off that way and Justin continued to fall. And so for us, it was just executing our plan, at the right spot in the draft and being patient with that, which sometimes can be difficult. Fortunately with the Giants, I've known Dave Gettleman for 20 years. He's an amazing person, an amazing general manager, and we go way back. So that communication, started really this morning about the possibility of something like that happening. And when we were able to execute it in the draft, and I just feel real fortunate.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Ryan, when you were looking at Justin this past season, I know it was condensed because of the pandemic, but I'm curious, his last 3 college games, struggles against Northwestern, comes back against Clemson, he had the Alabama game. What resonated with you specifically, and then maybe Matt, from those final 3 games of Justin's college career?
Yeah, I feel like, we talked about him for a long time now. Matt has a good relationship with Ryan Day as well, but it's just, Adam, it's just the combination of factors that he has. It's the arm talent, it's the accuracy, it's the athleticism. When you see a guy with that kind of arm talent, with that kind of quarterback makeup that he has, with that kind of work ethic, that's played in really big games and really big moments and performed in big moments, that's extremely tough. I was at the Michigan game a couple of years ago when he came back in from a knee, and we know about the ribs and the hip. And I mean, this guy's toughness on a scale 1 to 10 is an 11. And you just love that about him. Oh, and then by the way, he runs a 4.44. So you throw that all in together, and it just feels good.
Dan Lederer.
Ryan, a little 2-pronged question here. First on follow-upping to JD's question earlier, when you were in that 7 to 10 range there, can you take me through your own personal emotions of waiting out some quarterbacks that might have pulled the trigger on a quarterback and then seeing that you were going to get that done? And then just follow up on Justin, in your pre-draft interactions with him, what left the biggest impressions on you in the Zooms and the other times that you were able to connect with him?
Yeah, I think we knew there was going to be a sweet spot, Dan, for us to be in that quarterback world, and right in this area was kind of it. So it just required a little bit of patience to get to that point, and kind of what's fair for us and what's fair for the other club. You got to be realistic to do these trades. You're not, and I thought this one was very fair. So it kind of played out that way. And, again, we started making a lot of those phone calls this morning with those teams in that area, and just trying to find out what was a reality. And this one was, so it worked out, but we were making phone calls all along there in that whole area, all in that range. And I guess what stood out with him in all of our interviews, and we've done a lot of them, we were also at his second pro day, is just like his focus and like how serious he is, and like that determination that he has. I think you guys will feel it when you talk to him, if you already have. Just, he's really locked in. His desire to be great. You can feel that when you speak to him.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Ryan, there was a report not too long ago that Justin has epilepsy. Where are you guys at with that situation and maybe the medication required to keep that under control?
Yeah, that's something you can talk to him about too. But, I know he's handled a lot of those things, throughout his life. And, we have a lot of ties into the Ohio State football program, and our doctors and trainers do a great job. And a shout out to those guys, Andre Tucker and Dr. Bowen and Dr. Katz, and all the work that goes into that preparation. Brad, you know how important it is. It's the skill evaluation, it's the character, and it's the medical. And I thought the medical was more difficult this year, but I thought our guys did an unbelievable job, and we were very comfortable with that. and how he handles that. You know, we've dealt with something similar in the past with different players over the years, and we're completely fine with it.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Hey, Pat.
Did you think going into today that you would have this opportunity?
Oh man, to be honest, I kind of had like three plans, and one was, the first plan was, hey, is there going to be an opportunity to go up and get a quarterback? You know, and let's see if we can make that happen, right? That's the first plan. If that doesn't happen, we had another one for some movement, maybe for some other positions that would be valuable positions for us that would also hit some needs and match our board. And then the third one was to stay put. And luckily, Pat, plan one executed.
What were the other positions?
I'll tell you after the draft.
Adam Hogue.
Hey, Ryan, how much did Matt Nagy's experience in 2017 and the way that Pat came along that season behind Alex Smith play into not only what happened tonight, but maybe going back to March and just the whole plan here with Andy and Nick and what you guys have in that quarterback room right now?
Yeah, because I think, Adam, like getting him is one thing, but for us to surround him and develop him is the other thing. I mean, we talk about you can draft the players, but you have to develop them the right way. And that's what I love about the environment that we have. And Matt, as you said, he has the blueprint. Like they did an awesome job with Patrick coming into Kansas City, with Alex there. And Matt and I have talked about that a lot that year and how it was handled. And he kind of has a blueprint on how that was, you know, how that whole situation went down. And what I love about our environment is the veteran quarterbacks that we have in that room. Like, I don't know if you look around the league, how many teams have that kind of experience in the room. And then the coaches that we have surrounding that position. And I can't say that enough. Like from Matt to Laser to Flip. I mean, Flip, he is one of the best coaches in the league at developing quarterbacks. I really believe that. And he is so excited tonight. And Laser's excited and Matt's excited about the opportunity to do that, but at the right speed, because that's what matters, is developing this guy. The process and how we do that is important. We got a good plan in place to surround him with the right resources to develop him the right way.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Ryan, when Matt went to that, was at that second pro day that Justin had, and what was some of the feedback that Matt gave you, just being able to watch him in person that afternoon?
Yeah, we went to pretty much all these top pro days, which was challenging this year because, we could only bring 3. That was the limit. So it was always Matt, myself, and Josh Lucas. We also sent Laser and Champ Kelly to his first pro day. So we were able to go to both of them and get a lot of eyes on them. And I think just seeing the ball come off his hand, the velocity, the way the ball comes off his hand, how natural that is. I think seeing him up close in person too, you see like just how he's built, like the muscular stature, how dense he is. I think that explains the durability that he has and the toughness that he has. And then just being out there, hanging at the pro day, spending some time with their coaches as he's working out. Matt had a lot of good conversations with Ryan Day. Like I said, he knows him well. But seeing the ball come off his hand live was important for us. I had seen him play live a couple of times, but I think being there, Matt and I side by side, that was really valuable.
Couple more for Ryan. Mark Potash.
Hey, Ryan. You obviously seem to have be pretty resolute about the development factor with Fields, but will you and Matt give yourselves any chance to see exactly what you've got here, and that maybe this guy's skill is so much different from Andy Dalton's that he might be your best quarterback this year?
Yeah, I think we just got to let it play out, you know what I mean? And let it play out. I think one of the best feelings in the world would be, hey, we're rolling, we're playing really good football, we're winning, and we're looking over there and we're seeing this guy, and we all know, everyone in the building knows that, hey, we got a guy, but I think, Mark, there's a lot, as you know, man, like as these guys coming into this, even all the experiences they have at the college level, growing in, watching tape, reading defenses, working in the huddle, Matt jokes, Patrick's first time in the huddle. These guys haven't really even been in the huddle the way the college offenses are. And so Matt, will always tell me a story. Patrick's first time in the huddle, his first practice, he's screaming as loud as he can. He's like, dude, you don't got to scream. You're in a huddle, and it's just so new for these guys. But it'll be a daily process, a daily evaluation, as you said, Mark. But we're excited to let that play out.
Thank you.
Jason Leisure.
Ryan, when you threw out his 40 time there, it made me wonder how much you guys envision letting him play the way that he played in college versus projecting what you think you could turn him into. And if it's the former, are we going to see something from the Bears offense that we really haven't seen?
He provides something, that element with your legs. When we talk to these defensive coordinators, Jason, like when we interview defensive coordinators, this after the season, they all fear these athletic quarterbacks. It adds a whole another dynamic they have to defend. And a lot of guys have it, a lot of guys don't. And he has that. So I think, Jason, there's a balance with making sure that you're maximizing that and using that, but you're not putting him at risk either, And I think he has that. And I think, again, the other thing that he has, Jason, which I thought was really good to see live, is I think he has the body type to handle the rigors of our game, and be able to do those things where some guys, you might worry about that a little bit more with their body structure, but he's got a muscular body type. He's extremely athletic. He knows when to get smart and avoid those type of hits. But again, that speed is real. And I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't utilize all areas of his game, all strengths of his game. And one of those is his mobility.
Chris Emma.
Ryan, you saw with some of the struggles that Mitch had during his time coming in as a top quarterback pick. What about Justin's makeup makes you believe that he can handle the emotional and mental challenges of being a Bears quarterback?
It's a big one, man. Coming into the quarter into any NFL team, it's a big step. But what I love about this, Chris, is the environment that he's coming into. I really do. I love it. I love going through this whole process with Matt. I love the coaching staff that we've assembled, and I love the quarterbacks in that room. And so I just think he's coming in to an awesome environment to develop at the right time.
We have time for one more. Dan.
Ryan, Matt talks all the time about the touchdown to check down mentality. And obviously it's something that Justin has shown on the college level. I'm wondering what left an impression on you about that and what you make of some of the questions about his ability to go through reads in a efficient and speedy manner.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of research, and we have a lot of ways to study those things, and we've invested in a lot of areas in our building that help us analyze those type of things that you're talking about, Dan. That's pretty cool. But one of the best things he does is I like his aggressive approach, like the vertical passing game and how aggressive he is in that area. And you saw it throughout Ohio State. And I think, he has all those tools. He has all those arm strengths. Now it's on us as a staff to refine those and develop those. And I know he's going to be open to that. And that's what's exciting about it.
Thanks, Ryan, and congrats.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast with yours truly, Jerry Riles, and the Honorable Dr. Chad Prodromos. Dr. Prodromos is an orthopedic surgeon at the Illinois Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Centers here in the great city of Chicago, Glenview, and in Naples. He's also the orthopedic surgeon at Prodromos Stem Cell Institute and the editor-in-chief of the Anterior Cruciate Ligament Reconstruction Basic Science. Dr. Chad Prodromos, it's always an honor and a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you on the Sports Medicine Weekly Update. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jerry. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, and you know what? I love Chicago, there's no question about it, but the weather, it is somewhat challenging. We go from 70 degrees to 30 to 40, and now they're projecting, Doc, back into the 70s and possibly the 80s within the next 7 to 10 days, so we're certainly looking forward to it. But I also have to say there are a lot of us who are looking forward to getting back out and doing some activities from outside of the homes. I know there are many people watching the Sports Medicine Weekly podcast and, of course, you know, listening and watching, but maybe they're working out. Maybe they're doing a nice jog. Whatever the case may be, I know they're looking to get back out there and get some more, you know, activities involved. And one area they want to get involved in is the gym. With the pandemic and vaccinations and the numbers appearing to decline as far as COVID is concerned, the virus, many places around the country are opening up. Here in the great state of Illinois and Chicago, we see things opening up as well, and that includes the gyms. That means a lot of people, weekend warriors and those trying to get that beach body in shape for the summer, are heading back out to the gyms. But as you well can attest and prove, that when you get out there and you start lifting weights, you may run into some problems while you're trying to get that beach body on. I just want to touch your knowledge and get some insight as far as things, precautions, athletes, whether they're professional or you know, the average amateur getting out there, what sort of things can they look to do to prepare themselves and their bodies for working out in the weight rooms and the gyms that are opening up now?
So the biggest things, there's basically 3 rules in a case like this. The one is a lot of people have been away from things that they hadn't been away from for a long time because of COVID. So a great tendency, you get away from things, you get out of shape, and you just, once you can work out, you're like, wow, I got to hit this hard because I'm in such terrible shape. And so the most, you know, maybe the most important thing is when you do get back, go back slow. Work out every other day, not every day. There's a thing called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So you work out Monday, Tuesday you feel good, but Wednesday you feel bad. So when you go back slow. Lift, if you're lifting weights, lift less than you used to lift, less than you think that you should, and give yourself a couple of weeks just to tell your body, hey, I'm doing this again a little bit, and get yourself a little condition. So the first couple of weeks, your main goal shouldn't be to get strong. It should be to stay healthy. Just don't get hurt. You get past that hurdle, you can start to build a little. The second thing is never do anything that hurts even a little. The no pain, no gain thing, it's just wrong. It just is. Your body is so smart. If it's hurting, you should stop. The third corollary is we have a paradigm we call no pills, no pain. And it is don't ever take anything because you're sore. We're bombarded with advertisements, and I've talked about this before, from the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory people who say, hey, don't let pain stop you, you know, go do this, go do that. If it hurts, take a pill. I cannot think of worse advice. If you're having pain, stop, let it go away. If you take pills, they're bad for you in multiple ways. They mask pain, so you hurt yourself and you don't know it. The non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are ibuprofen, which is Motrin and Advil, naproxen, which is Aleve, aspirin, diclofenac, Celebrex, meloxicam, and there are many others. Those drugs interfere with connective tissue healing. So they will slow down your body's ability to repair itself. So they're worse in that regard than Tylenol. They're both painkillers, and painkillers are in general bad for the reason that I said, but those drugs are worse. The other thing is those drugs have high toxicity rates, ulcers, liver problems, kidney problems, heart attacks, and whatnot. So main thing is go back slow every other day. If it hurts even a little bit, don't do it. And don't take pills for pain. Don't take things that mask pain. The pain is your friend. Our bodies are miraculously adapted over millions of years of evolution to signal us when we have a problem and to tell us what not to do. So we outsmart ourselves, we do it anyway, and don't. So if you follow that advice, you'll stay healthy.
You know, that's a great point that you bring up. And I know there are many people watching and listening to the Sports Medicine Weekly podcast here are kind of crinkling their forehead and their nose and saying, what is Dr. Chad Prodromos talking about? Because when you go out to the gyms, and we won't endorse any particular gyms, but when you go out to the gyms and you're working with trainers and, you know, maybe you're a part of a team with football or even basketball, all sports, they do some type of weight training, and you hear your coaches, you know, and your colleagues pushing you, come on, one more. And you know that the pain is there, but it's instilled in you to say, you know what, if I just get this one more rep out, if I get this one more push, I'm that much more closer to my goal of reaching whatever the case may be. They seem to be conflicting messages. How do you as an athlete block out that push and say, hey, you know what, I better listen to my body and take a step backwards?
Yeah, that's a great point, and it brings up a really good distinction. So here's the thing. To get stronger or to get more cardiovascularly fit, you need to overload yourself. So to get stronger, when you feel like you can't do another one, you try to do another one. So doing that other rep is how you get stronger, but that's assuming that it's pain-free. So you can be trying as hard as you can and you do another one, go for it, but only if you're pain-free. So there's a difference between pushing through pain and pushing through fatigue or pushing through just, you know, laziness, I don't know, you know, so go for it. Same's true for cardiovascular. Your body, when you do cardio fitness, produces something called an oxygen debt. So what that means is if you say you're on an elliptical and you're going and you get tired and you start to breathe quickly, what's happening is your muscles use oxygen and then they need more oxygen. So then your blood vessels dilate to give more blood to the area to give them more oxygen. And then, so your heart goes faster, and we measure heart rate. And then the next thing that happens is you breathe faster. And you breathe faster, and your heart pumps faster to get more oxygen to your blood and to get more blood to your muscles. And so this is in response to an oxygen debt. And you need to get an oxygen debt to get more fit. Because your body, if you don't have that debt, if you don't get a fast heart rate and get out of breath, your body thinks that you're fit enough. But if you're out of breath and whatnot, then your body says, whoa, gee, you know, I need to lay down a few more blood vessels and I need to increase the efficiency of my heart pumping and that kind of thing. So you need to do the extra rep. You need to keep going the extra few minutes on the elliptical, whatever. But in all cases, you shouldn't have pain. If you've got pain, you're just going to hurt yourself.
So how do you distinguish, doctor? And that was very well explained, but how do you distinguish? Because there are a lot of, amateurs or new people to the gym and, working out and, trying to get their bodies in tune. How do you differentiate and identify pain versus fatigue? For instance, if I'm doing, let's just say, foot push-ups or leg raises, and I do it for a 30-second count or a 45-second count, and I'm on my third rep, and it's challenging each time. How do I know and determine if I'm experiencing some type of pain? Because there feels pain for sure, or if I'm feeling some fatigue because I've been in my third rep doing this.
So, what happens sometimes is that can make it difficult is that sometimes you'll start working out, maybe you're on the bench, and you do a few reps, and it kind of hurts your shoulder a little bit. But then by the end of the set or by the second set, you don't feel it anymore. So patients come into me and they tell me that, and they say, well, I think I had to get warmed up. So the answer is that's not true. Basically, your body's just making its own endorphins. I'm not sure we totally understand the process or why the phenomenon. But here's what I would say. How do you tell if it's pain? If it's pain when you first start, that's pain, stop. Or use less weight or do it another day. So you've got to feel comfortable from the first rep. So if you feel any discomfort when you start, just don't do it. Skip a couple of days, try it again. Use less weight. but you've got to feel completely comfortable. It is abnormal for you to feel pain at any point. And if you do that, what I just said, you feel pain in the first 3 reps of your first set, right? Well, if you do it next time, it's going to be the first 8 reps of your first set. And then next time, the whole first set's going to hurt, and it'll be the second set. You'll just get slowly worse. So you got to feel comfortable right from the get-go. And if you don't, lower the weight enough, that you feel good, and then and do a lot of reps and slowly increase later.
Dr. Chad Padromas, that's very well said. Now, we're going to ruffle some feathers here real quick, okay, on the Sports Medicine Weekly Update, our podcast. We're going to ruffle some feathers here. And when I say that, I mean, Cub fans, don't get upset. Don't get upset. But it's something that you can learn from this conversation, because we're going to go down south here in Chicago to the Chicago White Sox. And although they're doing halfway decent, both clubs are playing pretty well. They're around the 500 mark early in this 2021 campaign. But for the White Sox, the Southsiders, they lost their starting left fielder during spring training about a week ago into spring training, Eloy Jimenez, who was actually going for a ball over the fence in Arizona. And I don't know if any of you Sox fans can remember. I'm sure you can remember that play, but Cub fans, you can certainly Google it. But as he was going over, and he really had no shot, Dr. Chad Padromas, in catching this ball, but for whatever reason, Eloy reached over the fence with his left arm, I believe, to try to make a spectacular catch. When he brought his arm back from over the fence and landed back on the ground, he ended up grabbing this area here on his shoulder. And it turned out that it was a torn pectoral muscle, and he's going to have surgery and be out 4 to 5 months, which was a blow to this World Series bound White Sox team. I didn't think that the extension reaching over the wall was that severe that it should have caused that type of rip, that type of tear of his pectoral muscle. Yet it happened. I speculate, and I'm not a doctor, but I speculate that it had something to do with his weight training, whether he's lifting too much weight or doing something that he maybe overextended and should not have been doing. When you heard about this injury and your expertise and your knowledge in this area, what were your thoughts?
Jerry, I think you're probably spot on. It's really interesting. So I see these every once in a while. It's not a common injury, but I see them, and you can repair them. Sometimes you can repair them even after chronic tears, and the results are not bad. But everyone that I've seen up until Eloy Jimenez, and another one I'll tell you about, had been from somebody doing a bench press or a push-up. And usually it's called an eccentric contraction, meaning if you can imagine a bench press, it's when the muscle's getting longer. So it's not when you're pushing the bar up, it's when the bar is going down. And there's speculation as to why that might be. So what happens when you weight train, muscles have a rich blood supply and they get stronger. So muscles attach to bones via tendons. So the muscle turns into an attachment and goes to the bone. So tendons have a poor blood supply. So while muscles can get injured, but if you exercise, you get more blood flow, you get a little stronger, maybe a little bigger. The tendons over time, with a lot of use, tend to get damage. So, people who do a lot of jumping can tear their Achilles tendon, other, tendon, things like that. So my point being that if you're working out heavily, and I don't know if he does or not, like on the bench or push-ups, that tendon can slowly be degenerating. This won't happen when you're 17, and I'm not sure how old he is, but it can happen at 25. So the thing that's interesting to me, though, is I had never seen one occur without like a bench press equivalent mechanism. And, it's ironic, right about the same time, it's actually a few weeks before, I had a patient come into the office, and he was a cricket player, actually, and he was doing this throwing motion where you circumduct your arm kind of with your elbow a little bit straight, and he felt pain. Usually that's like a strain of your rotator cuff, and it gets better and whatnot. And I examined him, and to make a long story short, he had also ruptured his pectoral muscle. And I have to tell you, I almost missed it, because that history is very uncommon. And also, this patient was kind of a bigger patient, and so the anatomy is obscured a little bit. You get a little bruising under it, but it can be kind of harder to tell. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. After 35 years of doing this for a living, and it's not like I see this every day or every month. I don't. But two of them here with similar motions where your arm is kind of circumducted around your body without apparently sort of the bench press mechanism. So what does that mean? I don't know. I mean, for me, heightened my awareness of it for sure. Maybe working out heavier. I don't know, but it's unusual. And I guess, for the audience, so that's less than 1% of the people that present with shoulder pain. Almost always it isn't that. But on the other hand, if it's just kind of something to keep in the back of your head. The other thing, we're talking about working out. Let me just say in that regard, those of you who are inclined to do bench presses, bringing the bar down is probably the most common way to hurt it. So if you're lifting with free weights on a bench, to our listening audience, viewing audience, I would say always make sure you've got a spotter. There was a well-known college football player some years ago who was said to have almost decapitated himself because the bar was coming down and it ripped, and so the bar came way down, came down onto his neck. Fortunately, he was okay. So, if you're using a seated chest press or if you're using a machine, you don't have that risk. But I know a lot of purists like to do free weights. Free weights are great. But, for that reason, if for no other, make sure you've always got a spotter.
Yeah, you certainly want to make sure you got that. And, there are a lot of people out there, they want to get, they're in shape for whatever reason. Some guys may want to show off. Some guys are getting ready for, the upcoming season, during the off season, whatever the case may be. But if you're lifting weights, and you make a very valid point, Doc, especially with the free weights, you want to make sure when you're bench pressing that you do have a spotter, because I know not so many guys, but I know of guys who tried to do it on their own. I've even done it on my own, but I was smart enough not to load up the bar, with excessive weight that I wouldn't be able to get it back up. But I know guys who have put, a lot of weight on a bar and tried to test themselves by themselves. And when they go up and they can't handle it, and they come down, they can't get it positioned back onto the bar. And again, it falls on their neck, and, God bless them, everything worked out okay. But you want to certainly make sure that you always have a spotter, just to be on the safe side, for sure. Dr. Chad Prodromos, Sports Medicine Update Weekly Podcast. Talking of weights and talking of getting in shape and exercising, I've recently started, training, not boxing, but working out, as a boxer's regimen. And there are practically no weights involved at all. Do you recommend that type of workout, from sit-ups to pull-ups to crunches to push-ups to whatever the case may be, without any weight work at all, to get your body in shape and up the par?
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Those workouts have gotten popular, whether it's CrossFit or other things, and the thought goes, weights are sort of artificial. It's more natural to do a push-up, your own body weight, a pull-up, your own body weight. It kind of sounds holistic. But here's the thing. The worst thing you can do if you're working out is only work out at a high level of resistance. Generally, you want to work out, do a warm-up. We tell people 10, 30, 20. Do a warm-up, 10 reps, easy, just to get vasodilation of the muscles, get blood flowing to the muscles. Second set, do 30 reps. So do as much weight as you can get and do 30 reps. But the thing is, that repetition is good for the muscle and conditions it. Third set, do 20 reps. So here's the thing. Most of us, when I was younger, I didn't used to do that. I was on a bench trying to push a lot of weight, so I'd do 5 or 6 or 7 reps and just push myself hard. But it's a good way to get hurt. So here's the thing. Push-ups for most of us are pretty difficult. and we're not just ripping them off. I mean, there are people who can do it. So the problem with push-ups is that it's an inherently high resistance exercise. So in my opinion, you're far better off to do a chest press, probably a seated chest press, because you can vary the resistance. Ditto with pull-ups. I mean, pull-ups are even harder than push-ups.
Right.
And so same thing. I think you're far better off to do a lat pull down with weights so that your first set is low resistance, then you go to medium resistance and maybe higher resistance. So the bad thing about these things is, in my opinion, that they're all high resistance exercises. And high resistance exercises are hard on your joints. So I would not recommend it. I've seen lots of people that have just gotten totally messed up shoulders from doing push-ups. Pull-ups, probably not so much, but doing more reps, the reps condition the muscle, they increase circulation to the muscle, they improve endurance. So doing something where you can do at least one set with a lot of reps is just better for you. Now, as to the other stomach crunches, I love stomach crunches. So doing stomach crunches, I think is just the best thing in the world. And we have one on our website. It's called 90-90 stomach crunches. You lay on the ground, if you can imagine, put your thighs up, put your feet in a chair, bend your knees 90 degrees, your hips 90 degrees, hands behind your head, bring one elbow to the opposite knee and down, do the other way. So I do a few hundred of these, when I work out every couple of days, and there's nothing better than working your core. So I think, for your core, doing that kind of stuff is great.
Okay.
But I think that for upper body, chest, weightlifting, I think it's safer and you can get greater gains if you're doing something where you can adjust the resistance.
Wow, that's great to hear, Doc. I know there are a lot of people that, and there are a lot of boxers. I mean, there are a lot of people that go to this gym around the country, and they're not using weights, and they're using their own body strength. Some of the exercises and workout, things that they're doing to strengthen their bodies and better their bodies. So that's great information that you provided with us. Now, I got to ask you this as well, because I don't know if you called it a trend or a fad or whatever the case may be, and I don't have mine here with me, but there are the bands now that are being used in workouts, and it's been promoted that, you take this band and there are different levels of strength with these bands, and you can work out 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, and you can do some curls with the band. You can do, some extended presses with the bands. You can do all sorts of things, and it's a 10-minute workout, and it's supposed to, and it seemed like it works. I got to ask you, what do you think about the bands?
So two things. The bands are fine because with bands, as you say, you can get bands of different resistance. They have tubing of different colors, whatever. And Bowflex kind of things, So I think the bands are fine. Personally, I think they're a little harder to use than just going to a gym and rotating machines. But I think they're fine, the bands. Okay. What isn't fine, it depends what your goals are. If your goals are to get stronger or to build muscle mass or even to maintain significant muscle mass, you should not do them every day. And the reason is when you do them, you're kind of tearing down muscle, if you will.
Right.
And your body senses that. And we think at least that's a signal to build new muscle.
Right.
So, I mentioned before overload. You've got to work out hard to get stronger. If you work out hard and you do it every day, you're just going to get. So, for upper body weights, you should do it no more often than every other day. I would say I do it twice a week. I do elliptical Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and I do weights and core Sunday, Thursday. And if you work out hard, that gives you recovery time. There are people that are really into it who will do, even once a week. But if you work out too infrequently, you tend to get sore. If you work out too frequently, you tend to, break down muscle. So, so doing it every day just to maintain a basic level of fitness is okay. It just depends how serious you are about it. My goal is to maintain a significant level of muscle mass as I get older. So I push myself pretty hard. And I can't do that if I'm working out every day. So I think an ideal way to do this is 3 days a week, every other cardio. For example, I love elliptical, stationary bike, maybe running if it doesn't bother your knees. And then every other day, upper body and core. I do twice, 3 times is probably okay. And then so 3 of upper body and core, 3 of cardio, and then on the 7th day you rest.
Right.
But every day. So if you do it hard enough to do any good, you're going to get hurt. And if you do it easy enough to not get hurt, I don't think you're going to do a whole lot muscle wise. I mean,
right.
It's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. But you can work out. I'm 67, and I don't work out like I did when I was 27.
Right.
But you can work out pretty hard as you get older. I mean, my hero is Jack LaLanne. He was in his 90s and he was working out hard, and then he passed. But every day is too much if you want to work out hard.
Yeah. I try to do like upper body Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lower body Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Great, man. Yeah.
So and that's great. So the question is, and we talk about I'm 58 years of age, and sometimes my mindset tells me, to push myself like I did in my 20s and maybe 30s. How do you offset your mind, because your body is only going to allow you to do so much? How do you offset your mind or reprogram your mind to incorporate a workout that is suitable for your body?
Tips. So again, when I was younger, I just was trying to push as much weight as I could.
Sure.
And never got as strong as I wanted to get, but I tried, right? And so I'll tell you though, people who do push a lot of weight are likelier to get arthritis in those joints. And I see it. I'll see a guy who's 50 and got a few patients, ripped, looks great, big and strong, lean, and he comes in shoulder pain, and I get an x-ray of his shoulder, and he's got arthritis. So we think that comes from high peak loads, meaning, and that's one of the reasons. So I tell people to work out differently. If you're 20 and you want to work out real heavy, okay. But as you get older, you're better off to do more reps, less weight, for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones being that it tends to preserve your joints. So I think working out real heavy weight, that's why I said this 10, 30, 20. I do as much weight as I can do and get 30 reps, and then as much as I can do and get 20 reps. So that's less weight. I can do more weight if I'm only doing 7 or 8 reps. But the more reps kind of protects me from myself a little bit, because I just don't do as much weight. So that's one thing that I think's useful. And then with cardio, it depends. You've got to make sure you don't have a heart problem, one thing or another. But you can play with your heart rate and, get your heart rate up high. I try to get mine up to 100%. Actually, I get it above 100%. Theoretical heart rate maximum is 220 minus your age, more or less, but you can figure out what it is. And then, you don't have to go a long time. In fact, if you go a real long time, you tend to waste muscle mass. So that's why if you see these marathoners, they're always real skinny, or ultra marathoners. So I mean, I go 15 minutes really hard on an elliptical, really fast, get my heart rate up way high, higher than my theoretical maximum. And it's tiring, but it's only 15 minutes. So doing that, you can get yourself in great cardiovascular rate. You can watch your heart rate drop. Mine's about 48 now, and to me, it's like a game. I just, I remember Bjorn Borg had a heart rate of 44. I thought that was pretty cool. So, normal heart rate 60 to 100. Women trend about 5 beats faster than men. So when I really started doing the elliptical hard, I got down to the 50s. I thought that was cool, and down to 48. I don't know if it's going down any lower. I don't care. But my point is, it's a training effect. But I only do 15 minutes. If you do it for 30 or 40, your body will adapt. So if you're doing it for a real long time, your body says, this guy really wants to be an endurance athlete. So I'm going to get rid of muscle. So the body will start to waste muscle mass. So if you'd like to have reasonable muscle mass and reasonable cardio, getting your heart rate up for 15 minutes is plenty if you go hard. So this is a little different. A lot of people will get on an elliptical for 45 minutes or a bike for an hour, going medium pace. That's fine. But you don't, again, it's the overload principle. You don't tend to improve your fitness unless you overload yourself and unless it's really hard. So, and if you do that, 45 minutes is probably too long, both for boredom reasons and because it's hard on your body and because you can waste muscle mass, you know? So that's what your goals are. But your resting heart rate is a good index of, not the only one, you know, of cardio fitness. And you don't have to do it for a real long time. So you get into a balance between preservation and fitness, right? And so in my case, I work out twice a week. We've got a whole workout on our website, actually. It's iosmoc.net. 5 exercises that work out every muscle in your upper body, 3 sets each. So, you know, it's a moderation thing. You have to do it with intensity, but without pain. But you don't have to do it for a real long time. And the older you get, you really need to be careful that you don't make yourself break down.
Yeah, I'm learning that myself because I do the bands and I get a little twinge here in the old elbow here. So, but no, you're absolutely right. Just do it in moderation and do it at a pace that is comfortable for you. But you can also see some progress and some results. Doctor, it's always a pleasure to get an opportunity to chat with you on a weekly sports medicine update. You already gave us an eye shot, but again, if anyone wants to find any more information or learn anything about anything in the world of sports medicine, how do they find you?
So our phone number is 847-699-6810. We're open 9 to 5 every day. Got a terrific staff. Real people who will talk to you as opposed to a phone bank. So happy to help any way we can.
I love that. A real person on the other end of the phone. Dr. Chad Prodromos, thank you so very much. Hey, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the week, and we'll talk to you again on a Sports Medicine Weekly Update podcast. Take care, my good friend.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jerry.
Hey, Tevin, congratulations, man. I'm curious, what was your reaction when you heard from the Bears? And when you get in here, what do you think you need to do to show that you can get yourself ready for some playing time as quickly as possible?
Definitely first thing for sure. Like when they called me, you know, I was all smiling, like cheerful, everything. You know, I had like I started tearing up a little bit because, you know, all my hard work has come to fruition. And first thing I did was hug my dad. You know, had a sentimental moment, and I went around the whole room, started hugging everybody, everybody started congratulating me. And to answer your next question, one thing I'm definitely going to do is just keep on putting the effort in on and off the field, keep on making myself more of like a presence around the field and in the weight room, in the practice squad. Everything I need to do is get on the field as soon as I can and just keep on making my presence and bring the attitude like I did at Oklahoma State, and make sure I can prove a lot of people wrong, and make sure I can make sure Chicago Bears did a right choice right with me.
Hub Arkush, Pro Football Weekly.
Hey, Tevin, welcome, man. You're going to love Chicago.
Yeah.
A lot of the, quote, experts, close quote, had you matched up with the Bears at number 20 in the first round. Mm-hmm. How difficult was it seeing the first round end without getting your name called? What was last night and today like waiting? And then how good did it feel today to have the Bears come up so aggressively and trade up to get you?
You know, coming to yesterday, my agent let me know, like, you know, it's a strong possibility first. You know, he didn't make sure that I wouldn't definitely wouldn't like get my hopes up for everything, because it's a strong possibility going second also. So he told me it's a 50-50 chance. And going into like today, I have going into yesterday, I had no expectations. If I went yesterday, ecstatic, amazing. I'd be bust my butt no matter what I'm doing, like if whatever team. And now I have more people to prove wrong because I'm in the second round, and come to this beautiful city of Chicago. I'm really excited, and I'm just ready to get to work.
Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune.
Tevin, just to follow up on that, what did you do all day today to pass the time? I'm sure it was a long day. And then how would you describe the edge that you play with?
All day today, I just basically, woke up, took a shower, went to go get lunch with my brother, my girlfriend, her family, and her brother, and then did that. And then came home. We had like 3 hours to kill. Just got on MLB The Show on the MLB 21 The Show. Got that on the Xbox now, and I started playing that all the way until the draft started, and I just kept myself entertained that way. And sorry, I can't remember the last second part of your question.
So how do you describe the edge that you play with? A lot of evaluators talk about that nastiness.
I say my edge to me is about being able to finish anybody in the dirt. I don't care who you are lining up against me. I don't care what you're wearing against me. I don't care who you are. I'm going to attack you, and I'm going to be able to I'm going to impose my will against another man and use that force against him until he gets worn out and tired. And I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to do that 24/7, and I'm going to do that all game.
Larry Mayer, ChicagoBears.com.
Hey, Tony, welcome to Chicago.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you're here okay. You mentioned it briefly before in terms of possibly going in the first round, but a lot of players use that as a chip and motivation. Some just forget about it. Are you going to use that as motivation moving forward to show that you deserve to be a first-round pick?
I definitely am. I feel like I'm a first-round talent, and regardless of where I went, I'm not mad about it. I'm not going to lose any sleep about it. I've been coming in today with I came in yesterday with no expectations. Coming today knowing that I'm going to be picked within this day, and then I came in through with the mindset of I went to sleep last night with the mindset of all right, everybody passed with me 32 picks. I'm gonna have to be able to make sure everybody rules that day that they didn't want to pick me in the first day. So I'm going into every weight room, every weight, doing everything just 200%. I don't even care if my body's aching, sore, anything. I'm going to be pushing myself to the max because I want to be able to show everybody I was that day one talent.
Jason Leisure, Chicago Sun-Times.
Tevin, what do you think of coming in with Justin Fields and you guys getting a chance to start something together?
Yeah, being able to actually look at his film, I think he's a really great player, great competitor. And I think me and him both are going to be great things for the city and great things for this team.
Adam Hogue, NBC Sports Chicago.
Hey, Tevin, I have a quick question and then a follow-up. First one is, do you have a favorite block from your college tape that you always go back to as your best one?
Oh, yeah. I'm about to say it doesn't get brought up much, but it was I believe 2018 Oregon State. We called a wide receiver screen. It's called I don't know if I'm going to say it. I ain't going to call the call in here just in case they still use it. But yeah, it's called wide receiver screen. I come down a few steps, go out, I go up, linebackers flying out of there. So I say, you know what? I don't care about him. I'm gonna go up to the safety, and I wasn't even coached to do that. I just had I guess you could say awareness during the time to just go up and just climb up to the next level. And so happened to be Tylan Wallace broke the tackle, and he broke the tackle, and then he read my block. I was over here 20 yards down the field, made that sprung block. He ended up scoring a touchdown, and it was a really big play for us.
Awesome. And the second question is, I know it's been written about a little bit, but I'd rather hear it straight from you. What went into your decision to opt out of last season, halfway through the season? And was that related to why you didn't go to the Senior Bowl as well?
No, I just basically wanted to get healthy and make it as a business decision for me to be 100% healthy when coming to the NFL for sure and doing this process. And it did not correlate to being in the Senior Bowl. Honestly, to be honest with you, it's just my agent. He's not in too much favor of the Senior Bowl, and in fact, and he said it wouldn't benefit me. So I decided to listen to his advice. I took his word heart to heart because I hired him for a reason. I take his word to heart, and I listened to him and just took his advice and just said it was good for me and just to not be there and keep on going on with my life and keep on training, be the way I was.
Mark Potash, Chicago Sun-Times.
Kevin, I imagine everybody in your position thinks they can play or knows they can play in the NFL, but what's kind of the scouting report on yourself? At what point did you know? What tells you that you can play? Was it that wide receiver screen, or was there something? Have you watched the NFL? Is there a certain game? Is there what tells you that you can make an immediate impact in the NFL?
Without a doubt, it's that Texas game this past year for me. And I'm about to say that's the standards I want to live by. That's the standard I want to go by, and that's the standard I want to be on from this point on. And that's how I want to carry myself for the rest of my whole career in the NFL. And that's how exactly I want to carry myself.
Thank you.
Kevin Fishbane, The Athletic.
Hey, Tevin, I'm wondering if you had a chance to meet with Coach Castillo or any of the Bears in the pre-draft process, and what your impressions were of them.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. I met with the coach, and then must say I really had a great relationship with him. You know, we went back and forth a few times. Met with the scouting department, and I met with the head coach a little bit. And I feel like our relationship has grown like a lot, and I feel like he has a lot of trust in me, and I want to make sure that I definitely prove him right in that sense.
Zach Pearson, Bear Report.
Hey, Tevin, what does that nastiness in your game kind of come from? Is it a certain player you model it after? And then are you excited to go up against, Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn in practice?
Yeah, honestly, when I think about dude I model my game after, I definitely think about Taylor Lewan, and his nastiness, his athleticism, and his basically his consistency play after play to do what he does, and how great he is. And to answer your other question, it's like the old saying is, iron sharpens iron, and just getting back to the point of it, they're great players. They're only going to do is make me great, because I'm going against the best people in the NFL, and I'm going on there day in, day out, and keep on working with them every day till I could be the best so I could be, and make our team even greater.
Thank you.
Cheryl Ray Stout.
Hi. I'm kind of curious, during the time period before you got drafted, do you spend time researching the possible teams that you could be taken and kind of dig into how you could fit?
I definitely do, because my family, they like to send me the mock drafts. Like, I don't really like to pay attention to all that stuff, but then when they send it to me, I start looking at like how I fit in the scheme, and how I fit in the type of place and area of the city that's going to be in. And I definitely saw myself very, very entwined with Chicago, and I'm very happy to be here.
What specifically did you find interesting for you with the Bears?
Oh, they're just smash mouth like type of people. They're very aggressive. They're very, I'm about to say I have a lot of words that are not like appropriate for camera use, I would say. I like to be have the awareness of people around me and the people I'm in with right now. So let's just leave it at how aggressive they are. That's how they're going to be.
Thank you.
A couple more. Pat Finley, Chicago Sun-Times.
That's good situational awareness right there, not cursing. With Justin Fields, can you see the two of you growing old together on this team? And just in general, as an offensive lineman, what sort of pride do you take in making sure that your guy keeps his jersey clean?
I definitely see me and Justin Fields. I haven't reached out to him yet, because I've been, as soon as I got called, I came upstairs to get on this call. I haven't reached out to him. He hasn't reached out to me yet. But I definitely feel like both of us can grow old on this team. Like I have a very strong feeling about this team, and I definitely want to be here for a long while. But growing on that, I'm about to say, what was your other part of that question? Sorry,
what pride do you take in keeping your quarterback clean?
Oh, that's the number one important thing to me. I'm about to say, I don't even care about like anything else to me. Like the number one thing to me, I've ever grew up my whole life, been offensive lineman my whole life, defensive end, offensive lineman, didn't care about anything else. Number one thing I've always learned is you keep your quarterback clean, and you always keep him upright, no matter what you have to do, be dirty, throw, hold, whatever what you got to do. If anybody hits my quarterback after the play, that's my problem and not his. And that's how I want to carry myself, and that's what I want to do, and that's the man I have to be.
Arkush, Pro Football Weekly.
Tevin, you can probably hear, we've all read your scouting reports, and we love the temperament and the nasty part. Those scouting reports kind of suggest that you're locked and loaded on the right side. Do you view yourself as strictly a right tackle, or do you think you can play either side?
No, sir. I could play anywhere. I'm about to say this whole past offseason, going before that, through high school, through middle school, I was only a right tackle. And coming into college, they switched me around a lot. They came in left guard, left tackle, right tackle. And this whole past offseason, getting ready for draft, I was like, look, it's so easy for me to get my right-handed stance. I'm going to go left the whole time. And that's one thing I've been working on this whole past offseason and past even before that in practice. Like I even tell coach, look, let me get some snaps at left tackle in practice just in case anything goes down. And I just carried myself through practice in that manner and just kept on going that way. And I feel like I could play any position. And I've also, also introduce that I've been also snapping. So just in case anything happens, I can also snap the ball at center and go on do that too.
One more, Dan Wiederer.
Kevin, when you were able to share that hug in that moment with your dad shortly after being picked, what was the most emotional part of that for you, and what brought out some of those feelings for you?
I definitely say the most emotional part for me was just, him being a single father, being able to do what he did and bringing me up and along with my brother, and just how he carried himself all through these years. Like, he came through every baseball game, basketball game, baseball, football, whatever sport I was doing, bowling, whatever me and my brother were doing, he was there. He didn't care how tired he was, didn't care what day it was. He was that big supportive role model, it's a very supportive father. And I definitely started, the only thing I think about is all the sacrifices he made all through his life, because he was there to make me happy and he was there to make my brother happy. And I was definitely glad he could be here in this moment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks, Tevin, for taking the time and talking to us, and congrats again.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, we heard Justin say last night a couple of times about how, he's overcome some things in his life, some adversity. How have you seen him overcome the lows that he hit, if any, with you, and what does that say about his personality?
I think it's one of the most important traits of being successful in the NFL. And when you think about the guys who make it in that league, they can overcome adversity, and he's done that. Just maybe, looking for an example, I thought after the Indiana game, that was a hard game for him to kind of overcome. And then he turns around a couple of weeks later and plays the best game of his career against Clemson in the biggest stage in college football, really. And so, to see him kind of, work through those type of things, transferring over from Georgia to Ohio State, just to kind of walk into that locker room, we're a proud program, with a lot of guys who, think very, very highly of our culture, and to bring somebody in like that is not easy. And then to be a leader the way he stepped in and kind of, grabbed onto the locker room early on. And then also, there was adversity just that, as he stepped into that role of, can he be what everyone thought he was going to be coming out of high school, which is a very highly recruited player playing at Ohio State. And there's a lot that comes with that and the expectations. And so passed all those tests and now on to the next thing.
What about his personality enabled him to handle that sort of pressure?
I think when you look at Justin, he burns hot on the inside, but you can't always see it. He's pretty even keeled. He doesn't, get real emotional. At least you can't see it from the outside. He kind of keeps it close to the vest. But I know that, just whether it was, when he first got here, coming off the Clemson loss last year, and now even just kind of going through this whole draft process, you can see he gets motivated quickly. His competitive fire gets lit quickly. And I know he's really anxious to get going here.
Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune.
Ryan, thanks a lot for doing this. I'm curious from your perch how you saw and oversaw Justin's evolution from an outstanding athlete into a guy who could be a mastermind as a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very athletic, as you know, and he's big and he's strong and he's got running skills. But we didn't just run him in our offense, like you said. we have an NFL style offense, and he really grabbed onto that. I think the first thing for him was just the work in the classroom, understanding protections and route structures, defensive structures, how teams are trying to attack them. There was just some really good points, especially in this past year, the second year we had with him. I just one offhand that was just really well. He recognizes that, one of the guys is blitzing, and we actually side adjust the route, change the route on the run. He throws to Jeremy Record for a touchdown. That was one example, just changing protection, seeing, in game. There was a game in the play in the Clemson game that we didn't even run going into that week. We kind of put it up on the sideline. It was a play that we had run, previously, but he was able to do that. And so I think that's part of his evolution was just, the mental part of the game. The physical part, I think he just became more and more comfortable in the pocket. And you can see that as the last couple of years, evolved.
You also mentioned the Indiana game, and others have mentioned that game as well. I'm curious what you think the lessons learned from that game were for Justin, and the growth that he made from that's applicable to his continued growth as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think, for all of us at Ohio State, it was a unique season. And when you start to lose games and you don't have a lot of, body of work, and you have an opportunity to impress, whether it's for a Heisman race or to be a first-round draft pick, it's just very natural to try to, force the action. And that's really what happened, and he kind of owned it, and we made that adjustment, moved on, and it really never happened again. And it was an anomaly. So, and I think maybe one thing that played into that was the first play of the game. We throw an 80-yard pass, and then on the second play we throw a touchdown, and it was like, okay, we're just going to roll on these guys. And I think maybe that's kind of what he expected, but that's part of the growing process. And the only way that you learn is by failing. But can you overcome that and then make sure things like that don't happen again? And that's what he proved.
Jason Leisure, Chicago Sun-Times.
Ryan, what did you think of the toughness he showed at the end of the season, playing through those injuries in the championship game?
Yeah, in 2 years, he missed really just a couple plays. One, he took a helmet to the knee in the Team Up North game, sprained his MCL, went out to the sideline, put a knee brace on, and the next play, scrambled to his left to a 30-yard touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to Garrett Wilson. And then in that Clemson game, took one of the more vicious shots I've seen in a long time. And then the first play back, he comes in, rolls out, throws a touchdown pass to Chris Olave, and then never came out of either of those games. And I just think that's his toughness. That's his competitive toughness. And when you're projecting somebody into the NFL, you better be tough. You better be physically tough and mentally tough. You're not going to be able to survive in that league if you're not willing to take shots, because you're going to take shots in the pocket and you got to sustain through a whole season. But then mentally tough, because, you're exposed. And he knows that. He knows that from being at Ohio State. And I think that's where he's going to have a quick, transition. But he's mentally and physically tough.
Adam Johns, The Athletic.
Hey, Ryan, I want to go back to 2019 when he transfers there. And just from an intangible sense, how did you see him connect with the teammates almost right away? How did you see him show that leadership? How did you see him connect with the coaches right away? Like, what type of jolt was provided to the team there?
He has a quiet confidence that kind of permeates around the locker room. You can feel it, you can see it. And I think when you get on the field, the guys believe in him because he can do so much. But he also really lives his life the right way. He's not all over the place. Really this whole season, it was him and his dog in his apartment. And he was at the Woody Hayes Center. That was it. And so I think, he demands this respect of the team because of who he is, his character, his talent level, what he does on the field, but then also how he carries himself. And, everyone has their own leadership style. He can get after you if need be, but he also can put his arm around you and connect with you that way and kind of pull guys along with you. So he'll do the same thing there. And it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to get the respect of the locker room first. And that's, I know that's first on his mind.
Hub Arkush, Pro Football Weekly.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for doing this. I know you shouldn't be asked to discuss any medical issues or anything like that with Justin, but I'm curious, was there ever a time when you were forced to adjust any schedules, procedures, practices, anything that you might normally have wanted to do to allow for, Justin's condition?
No. I mean, the only time we ever had to adjust anything was really leading up to the national championship game when he could barely get out of bed because of the shot he took in the Clemson game, but he still found a way to play in that game and actually play okay without really practicing. But other than that, I mean, he was one of the first guys in the facility every day, hardworking, and really never missed anything.
So, but being aware, I assume, of this epilepsy question or concern, nothing relative to that caused you to do anything special.
I mean, we were aware of it, but Justin was very, very professional and mature about it. He took his medicine, and we never had an issue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Hogue, NBC Sports Chicago.
Hey, Ryan. We heard a little bit about your relationship with Matt Nagy. I'm just curious what the background is there and how you guys know each other and maybe some of the conversations that you guys had leading up to this pick.
Yeah, I mean, our relationship goes back to when we played each other in college. He was a quarterback at Delaware. I was at New Hampshire. We had some great battles against each other. And we've stayed in touch. And just, through, when I was in the NFL, he was in the NFL as a quarterback coach. And so we kind of stayed in touch that way. And then when he got to the Bears, he would call about some of our players, always really good. One of the better guys I've been around, just asking questions. And then even as early as, when Justin got here, he and I would talk about Justin a little bit. And I got to give Matt credit, Ryan Pace credit, everybody in the Bears organization. I thought they did an unbelievable job in this process. Not only, asking all the right questions, but I think this is a great fit. And the way that they went about their business was really professional, and I feel great for them. But I hope our relationship can help along the way. Anytime anybody in the NFL asks us for access about our players, we try to do it. But it was great to have that extra relationship with Matt. And I know Ryan was a huge part of this as well. And they have a great staff. So I'm excited for the city of Chicago to see Justin Fields. And this is going to be a fun time to be a part of and watch from Columbus. But we're all Bears fans now, and really happy for Matt and for Ryan.
Chris Emma, 670 The Score.
Hey, Ryan, following up on that, there was a report that conversation you had with Matt Nagy this fall, and you used the term generational talent to describe Justin Fields. Can you confirm you said that, first of all, and just kind of how would you describe some of the conversations you've had with Matt Nagy in addition to, you mentioned the questions that he asked. What kind of questions did he ask? Yeah. I mean, I recognized that early on, that Justin Fields has that type of talent. And that's exactly what the word I used when he got here was generational talent. I would share those things with Matt when we would talk, and he'd come visit. He would just, ask questions about a lot of our guys, but in particular about Justin would just, I can't even, remember exactly all the details of it because it was so much conversation, but would just ask, about, his work ethic, who he is, his ability on the field, decision-making. I mean, all of the above. When you make a big decision like that, there's a lot of questions that have to get asked. And Mick Marotti, our strength and conditioning coach, is a huge part of that as well. In terms of giving information to the scouts and the personnel department. So, again, unbelievable job, well done, and excited for the organization.
Mark Grody, 670 The Score.
Hi, Ryan. The Bears are saying, and Ryan Pace is saying that, that they're going to have a plan to develop Justin Fields. Do you think, though, that he would be a guy that would be capable of starting in the NFL on day one, or do you think that that's the wise way to go about it, that there's some development that still needs to be done before you throw him out there?
I think both. I just think that there's development that needs to happen. I think for all the quarterbacks when you look at them, and I think that's one of the things you look at in the history of the NFL and the guys who get drafted. Really interesting to me because when I was in the NFL and coaching the quarterbacks, I'd kind of go through this and study it. Now,
being in this role, just kind of studying what makes a successful quarterback in the NFL. And I think having that development package for a quarterback when they first get in is critically important. And, but I also think it's kind of what the expectation is. There's going to be some learning along the way. There's going to be growing pains. And do I think he can play right away? Sure. Do I think he's going to be a lot better in year 3, 4, and 5? Absolutely. And I think that blueprint's out there, and certainly Matt knows that better than anybody.
Thank you.
Dan Wiederer.
Ryan, obviously last fall was incredibly unique, and it's easy to forget how unique it was now, but I'm curious what you witnessed in Justin and his desire to want to get the season going and his influence in allowing you guys to get to a point where he actually could play that 2020 season.
It was unbelievable to watch. Certainly one of the more unique times in our country's history. But for Justin, very easily could have said, I'm just going to get ready for the draft next year. But he never flinched. He wanted to play. He wanted another year of experience. He wanted to compete and go beat Clemson and play for a national championship. I mean, that was right on his mind. And because of that, he fought for a season. I mean, he petitioned. He got on national TV, spoke on ESPN, I think maybe Good Morning America. And, he wasn't reckless about it. I think that's what's really cool about it. I mean, he's really respectful, well thought out, and a lot of people followed him. I forget exactly how many petitions and signatures he got, but it was a lot. And I think that shows you his leadership. And he had an impact. And I think when you go back and look at this, maybe in 10 to 20 years, hopefully it's one of those things you go back on and shows you some early leadership on somebody who did something special, with his entire career.
Nathan Bard, Cleveland.com.
Are you there?
Yep, got you, Nate.
Sorry. I know you probably weren't able to extensively watch the Bears in recent years, but from what you know about Matt Nagy's offensive background with Andy Reid and everything, how do you feel like Justin's skills fit in with those concepts and what they want to do with that offense?
I think it fits really well. Matt comes from a great background, coming over from the Chiefs and what they do. I think they're really, really creative. Certainly study their film a lot and what they do. And I think, they're going to be able to accentuate what Justin does well. And there's a lot that goes with it. That's what's great about, that style of offense. It can go a lot of different ways and there's a lot of flexibility in there. So again, really fired up to see what that looks like.
We're going to take a couple more for Coach Day. Dan Hope.
Hey, Ryan, what does it mean to you and what do you think it means for Ohio State to have 2 quarterbacks in 3 years be selected in the top 15 of a draft?
Well, I proud of that. But also it's what you do with the opportunity now. And Justin knows that. And so now, he's got to go about the business of, putting in the work and, building that reputation, the respect in that locker room so he can go have a successful career. And that's the idea. But it is exciting. I got to tell you, it's exciting to have, 2 guys drafted here in the last 3 years. I think it's great for recruiting. I think, it's an exciting time to be a quarterback or receiver at Ohio State. And it's fun. It's just fun to be a part of this and continue to recruit these people and their families.
Patrick Murphy.
Hey, Ryan. Justin hasn't had to sit behind a quarterback very often in his career. That sounds like it's the plan in Chicago. Knowing him as well as you do, how do you feel like he will handle the development process, the learning behind a starter ahead of him?
I think it'll be great. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have a long career in the NFL and to grow and develop and build. It isn't to, start to, I got to be there day one and I got to get all this. I mean, there has to be a long-term vision on this. And I know that he understands that, he's played a year and a half or maybe a little bit more of college football. That's it. And so the ceiling's really, really high. I think that's what I'm sure everybody in the city of Chicago is fired up about. And that's what the Bears organization recognized. But part of this process for him is going to be to sit there, learn early on, learn from some of the other guys and just keep building as much experience as he can so that he can, have a long career in the NFL. And that's the idea.
We have time for one more with Coach Day. Adam Hogue.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm just curious because, you know, sometimes one of the knocks you hear with Justin, one of the rare knocks is the methodical nature of some of his process and decision making. You're his coach, you know, really more about that. And obviously you run an offense where it's a lot of vertical things downfield. It takes time to develop. So how much of it is part of the scheme? How much of it is legitimate? And like any quarterback jumping to the NFL, how do you think he'll handle the adjustment with timing? Because obviously everything's faster in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's super athletic, and he will adjust with what he needs to adjust with. You know, that's the thing about him is if maybe it's not working, he'll get it solved quickly. You know, I mean, the thing I always go back to is, you know, he's never not succeeded in his life at what he's really set his mind to. And so, you know, he was really, really successful at Ohio State. I mean, the numbers speak for itself and what he did. When that game picks up in the NFL, you know, I'd be shocked if he doesn't pick up really, really fast and make those adjustments. Why? Because he can. I mean, he's really intelligent. He's really athletic, and really competitive. So, I mean, he'll get that really, really fast, and they'll train him in those areas. But when he was with us, his decision making and all that stuff was excellent.
We're all set, Coach. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us on the Chicago media. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.